G'day, today we're going to make some tent pegs and a mallet to knock them in with. But before we do, I'm going to talk a little bit about some knife safety and then show you some techniques on how to handle your knife safely so that you don't hurt yourself. So knives can be basically broken up into two categories. You have a fixed blade knife and a folding knife. Now with a folding knife, they can be broken up into a couple of categories. You have a locking blade, which locks in, and you need to undo the pin at the bottom to be able to close it. And a non-locking knife, which tend to be more socially acceptable in Australia if you're carrying one around, because if you're pushing down on something like this, it can close down and get your fingers. So that's something to be aware of. For beginners, I recommend having something with a lanyard on it, and that way when you're using your knife, it's not going to slip out of your hand, it's not going to damage the knife or possibly injure someone. When it comes to injuring someone, the most important thing is not to injure yourself. So I'm going to go through some safety tips. This is the number one most important thing I want you to keep into your head. This area in between your legs, we call this the triangle of death, because we carry a lot of major arteries through the inside of our thighs all the way up to our groin. And if you cut one of those arteries, it's pretty much game over. The other thing to bear in mind is with the sheath on my knife, I'm going to put my arms all around me, and if I can't touch anything or anyone, then I'm in a safe space. I've been using knives for a long time, and they say you never cut yourself with a sharp knife, and I call garbage on that because I cut myself and all my knives are razor sharp. So it's always important to carry yourself a decent first aid kit, plenty of bandages, plenty of band-aids. Something's going to happen eventually. The other thing you may want to consider, particularly if you're a novice, is to carry a pair of gloves with you. I don't have any with me today, but you can get slash-proof gloves or some nice leather gloves that are going to help protect you a little bit as well. This is probably, if I could carry one item with me out into the bush, it's going to be a knife. So if I've got it, I don't want to lose it and I want to look after it. So here's a couple of quick maintenance tips for you. Keep your knife sharp, and there's a couple of methods to do this. You've got small sharpening stones. I wouldn't recommend anything too coarse because you're only going to be touching your knife out in the bush unless you really damage it. Then you can take it home and fix it. But to keep it sharp, maybe a 400 or 600 grit, fairly smooth sort of sharpening stone just to touch things up. But 9 times out of 10, I just use a little bit of leather just to give the knife a bit of a strop on a flat surface, and that's going to bring the edge back to near new. An important thing is the tip of the blade. We never want to use that as a pry bar because this is very hard steel, therefore it's brittle and you're going to snap the tip off. Just be very careful if you're ever putting the point into something that you don't rock it from side to side. As soon as you're done with your knife, put it back in the sheath. When you get it home, give it a clean, a sharpen and an oil, and you'll have it for the rest of your life. This little pocket knife I've had since I was 11 years old, and I use it on a regular basis, and it's still in great condition. If you look after your tools, they'll last you a lifetime. All right, let's get into some techniques. I'm going to go and gather some materials, and we're going to make some tent pegs and a mallet to be able to drive those tent pegs into the ground. And here's how we do that. So you've got two main types of tent peg that's seen commercially. The first one is the old school one, which is a peg with a hook on the end. When you drive that into the ground, it'll hold your rope in place. The other one's a more straight design, lightweight aluminium type, or sometimes titanium. And these have like a number 7 notch carved into them to hold your rope into place there. To be able to find several hook sticks out in the bush, you're going to be cutting a lot. I tend to make them straight and put the L7 notches in. So I'm going to make those, and I'm going to show you the techniques that I use to safely do that. I found myself a decent stick about the thickness of my thumb, and it does have a fork in it. So I'm going to show you how to make one of those 7 shaped pegs, and the rest we're going to make out of these straight sections. So here's my peg, and it's almost complete. I just need to put a point on the end and do a bit of faceting around the top. I'll show you that when I'm making this straight section. The process is identical. Also, whenever you're cutting wood, try and have a timber base of some sort, a fallen tree or a tree stump. It's going to be better on your gear than driving it into the dirt. 6 is a good number, and I'll explain why when we get to the shelter building side of things, but you're going to want at least 4 around the outside and a couple of spares. So there's 5 techniques that I want to show you, and the first one that I'm going to use is called a thumb cut or a push cut. And all that's going to do is I'm going to just chamfer the edge all the way around the top of my peg. The reason for that is when you're bashing it, it's not going to split out and damage the top of your peg. So all we're going to do is come close to the top, use my thumbs as a guide, and we're just going to chamfer the edge of that. We call that faceting. If you've ever looked at a diamond ring or something, you'll see it's got lots of flat cuts to make a round sort of shape. And then we come up a little bit and just round that off a little bit. So technique number 1 is the thumb cut. The next thing I want to do is I want to put a series of 7 cuts down here so that if my rope were to slip off one, it catches on the next one. Technique number 2 is going to be the push cut. And all we're going to do is we're going to come up a little bit from our tip, and we're just going to rock the knife back and forth, which puts a straight cut into my timber. Then we're going to use the thumb cut again to cut up to that stop, and then the push cut. And there you can see I've got a 7 shaped notch in the tip. And I come down below that and put in another stop cut. Rocking back and forth. And if it doesn't come off by itself, it just means you've got to push down a little bit more, and there it goes. That's 2 of them. I might do 1 more. That's my 7 notches complete. The only thing left to make now is the point. All right, again, we want to stay away from this triangle of death. If you're going to use something like a slicing cut, which is technique number 3, we've got a firm grip on our handle. We may want to put our thumb just on the back edge of the blade, and I'm going to use this bottom edge of my blade here where I've got the most purchase. So we can rest our elbows on our knees and we're cutting away from us. Pretty straightforward whittling, but I'm not whittling up in here. If you don't have a lot of room in front of you, you can come off to the side and use the same technique here to carve off to the side. Or technique number, what are we up to? 4, is you can come up here and use your chest to get deeper cuts and a lot more power. And you can get a lot of material removed very quickly this way. Now I want a fairly shallow sort of a point. I don't want it too sharp, because if it hits something hard like a rock in the ground or a tree root, it's going to snap or damage your point. Just like that. So that's our peg pretty much complete, but I've got 1 more technique to show you, and I'll show you that when I'm making the mallet. All right, so for this part of the project, I've got myself a nice decent diameter piece of wood. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a handle for it, and then I'm going to reduce that handle to make it more comfortable. You could just knock a peg in with that, but if you're going to have something that you can keep, why not make it nice? And I've just got another stick here that's around the right diameter for me to sort of hold on to comfortably, and I'm going to use that to batten into the wood, which is our 5th technique. All right, so I'm going to use this end here as the handle, and I'm just going to put a mark where I want the head of the mallet to be. And I'm going to cut that all the way around, about 1 inch deep or so. Not 1 inch, probably about 10 millimeters. Remember that you can always cut more, but you can't put it back. So we're going to start just shallow, and then we can take a bit more out if we need to. Now we use our knife and our other stick, and we're just going to batten off everything that's not a handle. And this is obviously much quicker than trying to carve all this section off. So we'll remove the bulk of the material using this technique. Once you've got it in, you should just be able to flick it, and it should just about come off by itself. And if I need to, I can steer the blade by pointing it slightly more towards the center, because this grain wants to pull it out. Angling at a 45-degree angle, you can see I've got plenty of control, and I can bring that down to where the end of my stop cut is. Nice firm grip on the knife, straight arm. So I've got it bellied out in the middle here a little bit, and when I batten it, it wants to run to the outside. So I'm just using the chest cutting technique just to carve the center out and make it more comfortable to hold. And there we have it. We should have at least 6 tent pegs, and now a mallet to drive it in. Let's see if it works. All right, so with the 7s pointing down towards the ground at about a 45-degree angle, we now use our mallet. We'll hit a bit of rock there. Let's try somewhere else. No, still hit a bit of rock. There we go. Drive that into the ground, and that's not going anywhere. Now, you'll notice on the end it hasn't split because I went to the trouble of chamfering that top edge. There we go, this little fella. It's exactly why I carry a survival first aid kit with me. If I stepped on him, I'm going to be needing a snake bite bandage.